Well, hello, very good evening. Welcome to our very disappointing show. But anyway, we'll try and cheer you up before 11 o'clock. Long as we don't mention Grant Hanley's name. Anyway, the final score at Hampden tonight was by way of Jan and Iraq, right? Scotland's in Nations League Group A1. A1 used to be a brilliant band back in the day, Graham. I don't know if Robbie can remember that band, but anyway, the band was better in the game tonight, actually. Scotland 2, Poland 3, and where do you start with that one, Robbie? I mean, uh, we didn't actually come out of the tunnel until Poland scored, and then we had a decent spell, not a lot to the game. Second half was a wee bit better, but how would you sum up that performance if it was a performance tonight?
It's always tough, but I think the word I use is probably predictable for the team lineup that Steve Clark put out. It was a very, very predictable lineup. You knew the type of players he was going to select. He always does. And then the game itself, I mean, we raved and ranted about after the Euros about switching the system to the back four. He done that tonight. It didn't work. I think if anything, the game was more open when we went to the back four, and that caused us a lot of problems, especially in the midfield. I mean, you just need to look at the first goal to realise how open we actually were between the defence and the midfield. So much space for the Polish attack, and that was the story of the game, especially for the first half anyway. We were just so open. Every time we get the ball out of Robertson, it was just lumping balls into the box. It wasn't finding anyone, and when it did, Dykes, I thought, had a really poor game, and he missed arguably the chance of the match when it fell to him on the right-hand side. So I think for the whole game, it was very predictable for me, and to be honest, I don't think Poland were anything special, but we just never looked like creating much.
Graham, a couple of comments there. Sandy on YouTube saying individual errors caused us. Yes, they would. But that I would say in Scotland, giving sweeties away to a Wayne. Anyway, needing to start Ben Doak in the game against Portugal on Sunday. Before we speak more about the game, guys, I want to give a massive shout out to the Tartan Army because that was an excellent home support for a first night, Graham, especially in the back of the Euros as well.
It was. I didn't know what the crowd was going to be like tonight, but it was very good. I'm so angry. I'm so angry after that. No wonder I like a drink, but honestly, I hate Sport Hearts in Scotland. Honestly, I was so angry after that. I mean, I honestly didn't think Poland were that great, but it's three mistakes that have cost us. You know, first half, it's a really poor ball from Kenny McLean, leaves Billy Gilmore short. But even then, I think it's a great finish. But I think Scott McKenna should be engaged in the attacker, but he doesn't go near him. It's a great strike. Second goal, really poor from Ralston, gets caught goal side as a penalty all day long. But, you know, we get back in the game where Billy Gilmore's goal, Scott McTominay gets his 10th Scotland goal, and you think at that point there's only one team winning this game. I think he made the right changes, bringing Shankland on, bringing Doak on, and bringing Gold on, right changes. And you think, right, we've got a chance here. You know, 8 minute stoppage time, you think, right, if anyone's going to win this, it's going to be us. And then Grant Hanley, oh my word, what are you doing, man? One of the most experienced players on the pitch. You're in the last few seconds, and he does that. I mean, I'm glad that I got my swearing at the way before we came on the show because I was so angry at that. We should have won that game. You know, first half we had a lot of possession. I know that Neil McCann was saying we were dominating the game and stuff, but Poland were a goal up. They didn't have to chase the game. They were happy to let us have the ball. And it was all balls in the box that were going nowhere. I mean, Lyndon Dykes, Jesus. I've seen more movement to Stephen Hawking. I mean, seriously, I said that in the group chat. The guy doesn't move. He's got no mobility.
Can't believe you take that one. Yeah.
It was just, I'm so frustrated. One win in 12 now, I think it is. And that was against Gibraltar. And even then, that wasn't a great performance either. It's so frustrating because we were the far better team tonight, but it's just, as Sandy said there, individual errors, 3 mistakes. They were 3 shots on target, 2 of them were penalties. It's our own fault we've not won that game. Absolute joke.
Robbie, 8 minutes into the game. Ralston gave away the penalty, and to be honest, I didn't see too much in it until I saw the replay, and I thought, yeah, that the penalty, because it was hard to see from the camera angle on the main scan. But when you see it behind the goal, he did have a wee touch and all that. I know we might pick on this. Well, I'm going to pick up on it right away. So here we go, guys. I'm on my high horse here. So we've got the game against Portugal on Sunday, right? Everybody knows it's I'm going to say this, it's a free hit, even though I hate that word, free hit, right? And everybody knew that to get off to a good start, you would have to win tonight at home, right? Now, why on earth did they not start the game with Doak and Shank? I would rather they would start the game than coming on by, what was it, 67 minutes on the clock or 70 minutes and bring them on. I would rather do it the other way about.
Yeah, I mean, Clark, we said it after the Euros. I mean, he doesn't like to change the team and the players that he knows. But tonight was one of the games where it felt like you almost had to make those changes and play the likes of Shank under Doak because they're the fast, creative players that can create a lot. And just on your penalty points, I mean, yeah, I think they were both clear penalties. I don't know what either of the defenders were doing. It's always a risk when the attacker runs into the box for a defender to make a challenge in the box, and they both took risks and it's not paid off. So they'll both regret that. But yeah, I think if you're Steve Clark, the changes had to be made tonight. But he stuck with the same classic lineup, and that's what happened. We lost the game again.
Graham, this is a bit worrying actually. Sandy makes a brilliant comment on the YouTube. By the way, if you want to comment, we're on YouTube and Facebook as well. John McGinn was not at it today. I would argue that he wasn't at it even before they went on the plane to the Euros, Graham.
Nah, he was poor at the Euros, but he wasn't the only one. There was a lot of players that didn't perform well. I can't fault the work rate tonight. I thought McGinn worked really hard, but he didn't really offer as much threat going forward. I mean, our best player again was McTominay. He was the one that was driving forward from midfield all night. He was by far our best player yet again. I actually thought he scored more than 10 goals for Scotland because it seems like he scores every time Scotland play. But yeah, it was one of these performances that, again, I can't fault the effort and the work rate, but just that final bit, that final end product just wasn't quite there tonight. And yeah, McGinn, I don't think he's looked at his best for a while now. And it is worrying because for a long time, he was our best player. But it's just not quite happening for him just now. I would say as well, I thought actually the only real threat we had first half was Andy Robertson on our left-hand side. We were getting no width at all out wide on the right. I thought Robertson was our best attacking threat. You know, Billy Gilmore again worked really hard. I mean, it was the first game without Callum McGregor. I actually thought at times we missed him tonight. I've said it before, I think it's a massive miss for Scotland.
Graham, how much do you think that the system that Clark plays sort of limits what McGinn can do? Because we do play really heavily down that left-hand side, and McGinn almost plays sort of nearer to the right. So, I mean, do you think we're starting to see a bit of a drop-off just because how much the ball does get played down that left-hand side?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I mean, I've always thought McGinn's better as an attacking midfielder, like in McTominay position, but he's obviously not playing there now. Listen, McGinn's still a massive, massive threat, but the Euros, we said at the time, he was very, very poor. You know, you're expecting a guy like John McGinn to turn up in these tournaments, and he just didn't. And again, tonight, I just think that the work rate was there. I can't fault the work rate at all, but it just, nothing really came off for him going forward. And our biggest threat going forward right now is McTominay by an absolute mile.
And that's frightening, Robbie, if you've got McTominay, one top player being your number one striker, actually. I mean, I've been saying this for a while as well, and I'm sure we've spoke about it on the show, and I know me and Graham has as well, but like, apart from the McTominay and all that, who have we got coming through at that kind of level? And that's the worrying thing. I mean, I remember having this conversation with Graham after the England game down at Wembley, and that was like 2 Euros ago now during lockdown, and nobody's coming through at that level.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the small amount of players that are, you look at the David Watsons and the Lennon Millers. I think if you put any of the two in tonight, I don't think any of them make the mistake that McLean did. McLean's trying to force the ball forward too much, and that's where the mistakes came from. But I think we spoke about it on the show that get the sort of youth players in the door now in the squad, get them playing with the experienced guys, and then they'll be ready for it. But Clark's still out here picking the older type of guys as Dykes and McLean and stuff. For how much you can say there's not much coming through, even the ones that are coming through, Steve Clark doesn't seem to want to call up to the team. So uh, I don't know, it's just a bit of a weird one. I'd much rather have the sort of younger guys in the team right now rather than have your McLean still playing, because I don't know how much time he has left at Scotland.
We know that Steve Clark is very loyal. He always has been. But that tonight, for me, and I said it at the time, tonight was a chance to actually play like Ben Doak, Tommy Conway, Ryan Gauld, do something a bit different.
Yeah.
I actually would have got the crowd on side as well, seeing different players in the team. As soon as that team sheet came out, you're like, all right, okay, it's same again. He's not changed anything. There's no real freshness in there. And again, same as the Euros, he's got Tommy Conway on the bench who gets no minutes. Exactly the same as the Euros. Why bother bringing the guy in if you're not going to give him a chance? It's pointless. Even bring him on for like the last 10 minutes just to do something a bit different, but he doesn't even use them. It's the same thing over and over again. And you can guarantee against Portugal, he'll do the same thing. Only this time, he'll be more defensive. It'll be 5-4-1. So I just think he needs to... I said it after the Hungary game. We were all talking about Steve Clark, and I said at the time, if I can see that he's going to freshen it up and do something a bit different, then fine. But he's just kept it the same. There was no excitement in that Scotland team today. It was the same thing again.
Kelly on YouTube is coming and saying, hi lads, I'm happy with the performance of Gilmore. Hope you're well. Thanks for watching, Kelly, and you're a Kilmarnock fan. I suppose we're named like that. Not Air United, I think. Let's speak about Billy Gilmore. Robbie, brilliant start to the second half, brilliant goal. But that's what you want to. That's what kind of players that you want to see coming through the system.
Yeah, 100%. I thought Gilmore was actually really, really good tonight. I thought he was one of the best creative players in the game. He's so influential in that midfield, and he took his goal really, really well. It's a really nice strike. Obviously, it's not the easiest ball to take when it's coming at you like that, and he sort of timed it well, took it well. So fair play to him. I think if you look at a player like him, that's the type of players, as you said, we need to have coming through the youths and coming into the team. We need them sort of creative players in the midfield. So all credit goes to Gilmore, because I actually thought he was one of the better players on the park tonight.
To back that point up even more, I'm going to have to say Shankland again, because if you're going to have, because I think they two would work together well, Graham.
Yeah, but I don't think Steve Clark will ever do it, though. Like I say, he's very loyal to some of these players, and I get why he does it, because they got into 2 tournaments, so I get why he's loyal at times. But I think there are times you need to change things up a little bit, do something a bit different. We all saw what the Euros was like. It was really, really poor. And I'd like to see him just doing something a little bit different and changing things up a little bit. Again, he gives Shankland 20 minutes, who got, again, very little service. But I just want to see him doing something a bit different. I think Billy Gilmore, again, the thing I like about Gilmore is he never hides. He always wants the ball. He'll always say, look, give it to me and I'll get to try something here. He's the only one that really does it. I'll be honest, and I'm going to probably get a lot of hate for this. Apart from, I know he got the goal against Serbia and stuff, but I don't see what Ryan Christie's offering. Again, work rate, fine, but I don't see what Christie's offering.
One shot of goal tonight.
Yeah, I just don't see what Ryan Christie's offering that other folk couldn't. I don't see it with him.
Graham, I think that point about Gilmore's quite good, because if you look at where Poland's first goal came from tonight, it is him asking for the ball off of McLean going forward. It's just a shame McLean's forced it a bit too much, but again, he is the only player around McLean going, give me the ball and I'll make something happen.
Graham?
Yeah, I love Billy Gilmore. I genuinely think he's a cracking little player, and he is the one that I always look at and think he's the one that's trying to drive us forward. He's constantly looking for the ball. Even if he's got a man on him, he's constantly saying, give it to me. That's what I like about him. There's not many players in that Scotland squad that actually, I think, do that. I think at times players hide a little bit. Billy Gilmore never does that. And I think that's good. I think for me, Scotland need to build a team around the guy like Billy Gilmore and get players around them that going forward are actually going to be useful. But honestly, I think Gilmore for me is an absolute starter every week because he's the one player in the team that actually wants the ball.
I think it's a bit unfair for Hassel. It's not Anna Lynn was sort of a single Gilmore out here. I don't know if you're in the Gilmore fan club or not. Maybe not. Every time a Gilmore scores for Scotland, we go on and lose the game.
He's only scored twice.
Yeah, exactly. And one of them was in the warm up. But I mean, it's a bit unfair, Robbie, to bring one guy. Maybe he doesn't like him or whatever kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, that was your chance to play the likes of, and I'll harp on about it a bit more if you want, guys, about Doak, Shankland, Godwin, Morgan as well. But you can't take that chance on Sunday away to Portugal, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, as Graham said earlier, Clark will set up more defensive against Portugal, there's no doubt about that. But you just need to look when these type of players come on. I thought Doak was excellent when he came on. I thought Morgan was very good when he came on as well. So the players that Clark's bringing on are doing very well. It's just a shame that he's not willing to start them, and he's not starting them. And to be honest, I don't see him starting them on Sunday either because they will just set up that defensive minded against Portugal and try and play for something. But aye, the players that did come on looked very, very good.
The thought of Ronaldo against Hanley is actually quite soul destroying.
Yeah, just to let you know, we won't have a show on Sunday because it's not because I'm not going to be here, but I'll be behind the couch and Sunday night. What you could say about playing against Portugal, Graham, is it's good experience for the Scotland players. Well, some of the men, but I won't mention the but yeah, I mean, but it's tonight was a perfect chance to go off to a good start. I don't think that even though that we had about, I think they take about 50,000 get the game, but I felt it was okay. I think the supporters were more interested in just getting that win and feeling back instead of the performance. But Sunday night's going to be much, much more different.
Yeah, it'll be a great trip for the fans that are going over there. But I mean, it was one of these games tonight. If we'd won that game, you then go to Portugal and think, you know what? It is a bit of a free hit. We've won our opening game. That's what you want. But it's just the deflation of how we've lost the game. To lose a goal solely on from a ridiculous challenge from Hanley. Oh, I'm still raging about that. I can't believe we did that. But, the performance was actually decent tonight. Now, they've had, as Michael said, they've had 3 shots on target and scored 3 goals, but 2 were penalties. It's just it's a frustration of how we lost the goals. 3 mistakes, we've been punished for all of them. Anyone else makes a mistake against us, we don't punish them. And I go back to the one in the first half. What a chance for Lyndon Dykes at 1-0 down. He has to score that. If you're a quality striker, you're finishing that. And it just shows you got a championship striker, that's what you're going to get. And we've also got 3 Norwich players in that squad. Grant Hanley, Kenny McLean, and Angus Gunn. And look what happens. No disrespect to Norwich, but that's not the level that we should be playing at. They're not good enough.
Second goal from Poland was an absolute crack if you're a Poland fan. But Robbie, do you blame Angus Gunn for that, or was it well beaten?
No, I can't blame Gunn for it. I think I said in the group chat that Gunn couldn't do anything about it. I think you do as a goalkeeper need to predict that especially the first one when it's coming at him because the game is so open. So the Polish player is obviously going to take a shot, but he's just done so well with the strike that it's hit the post and went in. And I don't think there's much Gunn can do about it. But if I speak about the other goals, I mean the third goal, especially the second penalty. I think he should do much better with that. He's dived the right way. I just think he's let it go, past him. But I think he's got to do better with the third goal.
If I can go back to a point there, Graham, I don't know if you saw the comment. TJ on YouTube, I take it you're a big St Mirren fan or you're a Morton fan. I'm upsetting so many people tonight. Guess what? I don't care. Shandling in Affleck, Dundee Dundee, let alone Portugal. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but my question would be, who else have we got then?
Well, where's the creativity coming from? He gives Shankland chances. He's getting nothing created for him. I mean, listen, I was critical of Shankland on Sunday against United. I didn't think he was good enough. But this season, so far, he's played as the number 10 in just about every game. He's barely played up front. He's getting no chances. If you're a striker that's not getting service, you're not going to score goals. But Shankland did more in 10 minutes than Lyndon Dykes did in 70. I didn't get the people on here that are talking about Shankland. What chance did he have? Seriously, get a grip.
Shankland scores that Dykes chance in the first half. I'd almost bet on him scoring it.
100% he does.
So, but I would like to ask you, Clark, if I had one question out the press pack tonight, I would say, why do you always put Shankland on the bench if he's scoring a lot of goals for Hearts? Okay, maybe Hearts are not doing too well this season, sorry, Graham, but he's still a goal scorer. And if you put him in their positions that Dykes was in, he could have scored a few goals. But why does he not play him?
Robert? Because, like I said, Clark is very loyal. I think if he'd been fit, he would have played Che Adams because he loves Che Adams. He's very loyal to some of these players because they've gotten to 2 tournaments. And again, I understand that. But Lawrence Shankland got 31 goals last season. He got 28 the season before that. He's a natural goal scorer. But if you, at Hearts this season, he's barely had a chance to get a goal because we've only scored 2 goals all season. Shankland, the guy's still a quality striker, but if you don't give strikers chances, they're not going to score goals. It's simple as that. I mean, I don't know what folk kind of get their head around with that. If you don't give strikers chances, they're not going to score goals. And Shankland is getting no service at Hearts or Scotland. But he's still our biggest threat. And Robbie's right. If that chance in the first half falls to Shankland, that's a goal. That's a big difference.
I do wonder if James Fuller was fit. Would he get a game tonight? Possibly not. He'll be on the bench with Shankland. But Robbie, Graham kind of makes a good decent point there. That the first one of the night, I would say, Graham, 20.
My only one.
3 minutes into the show. It's a penalty, not that Scotland squad's basically the same, right? It got us to the Euros. They failed at the Euros, every one of them. You couldn't put it into one man because it's a team game. You would think it had Bremen one player, but just mix it up tonight. Especially at home. In front of 50,000 and all that, gives them something to shout about. I mean, I think that the Poland fans were a bit more noisier than the Scotland fans tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the Poland fans looked like they enjoyed themselves, and rightly so, because they scored 3 goals. I think that, on your point about the team, yeah, it has picked the same players. I don't see him changing now. I mean, he's been in Scotland for a good while and he's not changed, so I don't see him mixing it up now. But I think this was the chance to place some of the other players in the team because, again, as we've said, he's not going to change it up against Portugal. But just to touch on Graham's point quickly, I mean, Shankland's a guy that at Hearts has 2 very good creative attacking midfielders and Dandan Spittle behind him. In Scotland, there's a very, very good midfield there where they can cause you problems yet in either team, but the midfield seems almost at times non-existent, not able to create things. It takes a wonderful strike for Billy Gilmore to get him on the score sheet, but in general during games, these strikers aren't getting enough chances to score goals. So I completely agree with Graham's point that Shankland for both club and country, he's not getting enough from the creative players in the midfield.
I might be a bit unfair here to single players out, even though I say it's a team game as well. But going back to your midfield point, Robbie, I'm a big advocate of Stuart Armstrong. And, he's holding the place down south, still scoring goals. went to the Euros, got about 5 minutes at the end of the game, and we were out anyway. In fact, when he was coming on, I think Scotland were going back to the airport. So why did they not give him a chance? Because personally, I think Armstrong's a decent player, and they've got something about him.
Yeah, I think Armstrong's a very good player, and I think, as you said earlier about asking Steve Clarke questions, you could ask him about a million questions on a million different players that he's not picking for the team. So I think that, you know, I just don't think it's going to change now. I don't think Clarke, this long into his Scotland reign is going to go, I'm going to mix this up for a change, because he hasn't done it so far, and there's nothing to suggest that he's probably going to do it. So I think, the question, I'd love to see the question be asked of why he's not picking these type of players that are coming on and doing really well, but I just don't see it. And again, against Portugal on a Sunday, I think it'll be the same. I think he'll stick with what he knows.
Graham Michael Harrison, thanks for watching on YouTube. He says, to be honest, the fans, I think we were waiting for the usual mistake to cost us in the game, and it happened, and lack of trust from the fans. Yeah, I mean, it was a weird atmosphere tonight, Glenn, but I think that was down to what I'm getting the Euros, and we were so kind of like disappointed by that. And then 8 minutes into the game, we lost a stupid, we lost a cheap penalty, and then the other goal kind of like killed the atmosphere. You would say a wee bit.
Yeah, it did, but I think second half it was far better. Once we get the goal back from Billy Gilmore and then the equaliser, the Scotland crowd were well up for it then, thinking, right, we could win this game now. And you could sense the players were getting that feeling as well, because they were up for it. They were diving into tackles. The second half was much better atmosphere because of how it was going. But then it's just, again, it's the individual errors. It's the same every week. We saw it at the Euros. Every goal lost at the Euros was a mistake. It's so poor defense. It's so sloppy from players. Yeah, from people that should know better. You go back to the Germany game, for example. You're 2-0 down. Now, okay, well, we're never going to win the game. But all you've got to do is get to half time at 2-0 down, make a few changes. And what happens? We lose the third goal from the penalty because Ryan Poitras gives a penalty away, then gets sent off and the game's done. The second game against Switzerland, we're 1-0 up through McTominay. We're flying. Ralston gives the goal away, 1-1. Again, the third goal, that all comes from because we're trying to break forward. We lose the ball and we get countered on. Every goal we lose is a mistake. It's not teams cutting us open. And the same thing's happened tonight. It's 3 individual errors. That must be frustrating for a manager, because you're thinking, probably for about the last 10 minutes of the game, you're thinking, right, we're going to win this game. And then one of your most experienced players goes and gives a penalty away. It's just individual errors that are costing us. And my worry is, now I didn't think Poland were great tonight. They were horrible at Euros. They were out before we were. But my worry on Sunday is you're up against guys like Ronaldo, Diogo Jota, Leao, Bruno Fernandes. I dread what they could do to us, because if they're on top of their game, this could be an absolute hammering on Sunday with that defence. I'm genuinely concerned for that.
Just on your point about the manager there, I mean, tonight, if you take away the team sheet, and obviously he's got a lot of criticism for the team sheets in the past systems, but tonight, if you take, even if, he picked 10 players, I thought Clarke set up perfectly tonight. I thought that, Poland only, as we said, they've got a few chances. So tonight, I can't help but feel a bit bad for Clarke, because, yes, he undoubtedly gets stick on social media and stuff for that, but at the end of the day, he set up fine, and it was, again, just down to individual errors, the reason we lost that game. So if you're Clarke tonight, he'll feel a lot frustrated, and I think the fans, again, they will give him stick. But tonight, I don't think Clarke could have done much different, rather than picking maybe a different team, but he didn't, and I still think we were okay bar the mistakes.
And that's the thing, Robbie, like the Scotland mentality thing, right? Because see when you look at Celtic and Rangers, and it's a bad fair to mention St Mirren in the same sentence, because St Mirren's not been in Europe for years, but it's brilliant achievement. But Hearts as well to a certain extent, right? And we're talking about errors that costing us in European games. Even Rangers last week at home, well, at Hampden in the Champions League as well. Why do you think that is? I mean, it's because basic errors. I mean, you see it in the Premiership, right? But you see it in Europe. Because obviously you're playing against the big boys in Europe. But why is that? They're professional football players.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough, especially for Scottish clubs in Europe. And if you look at, for example, us with Brian, I mean, we built ourselves very, very good back into that game in the away leg. We looked like we could have actually not even been the team that won that game that night, but it was just, a bad mistake by Alex Gogic, and that cost us the spot in Europe. So this does happen for teams in Europe all the time, and I'm sure Graham would agree with the Hearts game in Europe last week against Pilsen. I thought Hearts. I thought at times they were almost the victims of their own downfall. They were so poor at times, and they were given Pilsen chances and making mistakes. So I'm not sure why this happens a lot. It seems to happen a lot with, especially the Scottish teams, but it just seems all the time that every team for Scotland, the national team, were giving away a lot of mistakes and a lot of chances.
The thing is that it's not like it's young players that are doing it. It's experienced players.
Yeah.
Grant Hanley, one of the most experienced defenders. You're in the last few seconds. Okay, if you're not going to win the game, at least get a point. To make a challenge, to make a challenge like that in the last few minutes, that's an experienced player you're talking about. There is no excuse for that. If I'm Andy Robertson, the captain, I'm in that dressing room raging at him because he's cost us that game. It's mistakes from experienced players that should know better. And for me, he wouldn't play on Sunday, but he probably will.
By the way, Robbie, this is the same team that beat Spain and Norway in the wake of the Euros. It's football's a fun little game sometimes. I mean, I remember doing the show with Graham against Ireland. I think it was, and we got beat 3-0, and we thought, well, we've got no chance. And then look what happened. And that's team we qualified as well. And then we're sitting here tonight and thinking, well, what's happened to that brilliant Scotland team? It beat Spain, it beat Norway away from home, by the way. That was a last minute goal, 2-1, that we won that day as well. And I still don't think that was a penalty in Norway, but anyway, let's park that one there because it's over. But you know what I mean? We've done brilliant work to get to the Euros, beat two bigger nations, you would say, than us. Well, Spain definitely, and then we turn out at the Euros and do a performance like that. And then tonight, I thought we were okay in parts, but weren't they brilliant. But I would have been, let's put it this way, I would have been happier with a point, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly where mentality comes into it. When we're playing the likes of Norway and Spain, we have that mentality to go and attack and get the win in these games. I don't know if it's something to go on with, in the dressing room or with Steve Clarke, but there seems a real lack of mentality right now at Scotland to go on and get the win in these games. Tonight, for example, we built our way back into it. And then, it does get to, the end, and I don't know how much maybe the referees, I don't know what it was on the side of his arm, but that sort of had a wee malfunction. I'm not sure how much that had anything to do with the mentalities dropping, but it seemed like from that point it just sort of went flat a bit, and then obviously Poland go and get the win. So I think there is a huge mentality issue right now with Scotland, and obviously if you look at the past results against Spain and Norway, you see the mentality's there to go and win the games, but it just doesn't seem there right now.
Maybe I know that Robbie Graham was saying to us about, I can't go through a whole show without not swearing about Grant Hanley as well. But I think at least Graham's got his camera on tonight. But I think Reagan's raging, by the way. That's a good Poland word. I don't know how you say that in Polish. Raging or something. Reagan is. Why did I say that there, Graham? Because I've just realised got a Reagan, there you go. why did I make a hole for myself there? Help.
Yeah, it's great to be on, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry Michael's digging himself more holes, but it's great to be on with you guys. But Grant Hanley, what is he doing there? stupid. I mean, the team get right back in the game. They're playing well. They probably could go on to win the game. And he does something like that. I said on X tonight, if Elon Musk is listening, then it should have been good night Vienna for Grant Hanley, because it's just no great, you know. And he was terrible the full night. I thought McLean was bad, you know. I felt when he went off, we actually moved forward a little bit. Ben Doak come on, did really well, played a good pass through to Ralston, and Ralston played a great ball. So no, I was pretty happy overall in the second half. But I mean, for Grant Hanlon to do something like that, and I don't know about you guys, but it changes the whole mindset of the squad as well. Because see if they're going back in there and they say to themselves, right, well, we're 2-0 down, we've got a good point against a very good Poland side, 2-0 down, and we can build on it. But now it's just like, oh well, we've got beat again. We've got no momentum anymore, and we're probably going to get beat by a very good Portugal team with Bruno Fernandes, with Jota, with Diaz, and all these players. You know what I mean? And that's mean we've been fighting about Cristiano Ronaldo, because hopefully he's too old to play, but he'll be relishing playing Gran Hanley.
It's a Sunday night. I'm sure they have bingo over in Portugal on a Sunday, Reagan. So he'll be there. He might come on as a halftime appearance to do the halftime draw, but I'm sure it's bingo night and Sunday night as well. Reagan, I wanted to get your take on. I was asking the guys as well, right? If you look at the bench, right, you've got Doak, you've got Morgan, you've got Conway. And obviously you've got Shanklin, right? Now he brings Doak and Shanklin on with 50 minutes to go, and I'm sure you're not bring Morgan on as well for like the last 5 seconds or something in the game. What's your take on that, Reagan? I don't know about you, but I would rather start the game than finish the game with them, and I would bring them off the park with 50 minutes to go instead of bringing them on with 50 minutes to go in the game.
I thought the team selection, obviously, it was great to see some new faces in there, but I didn't agree with a few of them. I didn't agree with Grant Hanley starting. This is a guy that was playing with Shane Duffy. We know how Shane Duffy got on up here, and he's not played for Norwich the past few weeks. The manager's abolished him from the start lineup, so I don't know why Steve Clark felt like, oh, that's a great idea. I mean, I know that Porte's made a bad tackle against Germany guys in the Euros, but I'm sure that he would have been a better option. This was a guy that kept a clean sheet against Ukraine, Spain. So I think, you know, if he's going to give Grant Hanley chances when he makes mistake after mistake, then surely he needs to play Portes again. But I'm just a little bit fed up, because especially in the first half, I felt we became too passive in the midfield. I feel like we just missed a Scott Brown kind of type to really dig in. I said this to you guys, that I felt like the midfield three we had of Billy, of Scott McTominay, and of McLean, all the midfield, all the midfielders are great on the ball, but none of them have really got any dig. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like we possibly needed something to be a bit of dig.
Great,
Reagan, can I
yeah, sorry, Robbie.
No, I was just going to ask Reagan quickly there. Now, we spoke on the One Sunday show a couple of weeks ago about players like Watson and Miller. Do you think if you put one of them in the midfield tonight, I know they're a bit inexperienced, but do you think they'd show that dig that Scotland need?
I think you're spot on, Robbie, and I think even Conor Barron would. I know people say you need to bed these players in, but see, I think we've got a negative attitude, right? Like, do you think the way they do it in Poland, do you think they go on that? No, that guy's no the first cap, we kind of throw him in. But see if matches are made for players like that, if you need a bad dig, then throw them in. Like, the only way the guys are going to get appearances is if you throw them in. But I will be, I think, a spot on there. And, like, does everybody know what's happened to Jack as well? Because obviously he was at St Mirren for talks and all that, and he was spotted at Motherwell Stadium. Has everybody took him up yet? What's happening with him?
I don't think so yet.
Grim make a good point as well. That's the second time I'm going to say it. That's because I
No
feel
like him.
sorry for you. That's
Oh,
no, that's because I feel sorry for Grim tonight because of that Grant Handy, his best pal. He's on the X-Flyweight as well. But Reagan's right because, like, I know that I was speaking to you, Robbie, early on about like we haven't got any kind of young players coming through the system, but Reagan compares the middle of the park to well, now that I've said Reagan's make a good point either way, but Scott Brown, a bit of bite in the middle of the park, and you miss that. And going back to Glenn's point as well, and I'm not going to say Glenn make a good point because I've said it already tonight, that McGregor, he offers like a bit of bite only because he was playing under Brown for like so many years at Celtic. But we do miss that kind of first tackle and get the fans on side and all that. You know, Scott Brown could do that. McGregor could do that. McGregor could score Brown goals for, you know, recently for Celtic as well, kind of thing. But we're just missing a kind of leader on the park, and I don't think Andy Robertson. I know Graham might hate me for saying this. I know he's a brilliant player for Liverpool, but I don't think he's got that about him.
I think Robertson does have that dig, and I thought in the first half he was our most creative player. You know, he was getting forward more than anyone else was in that first half. But I do think, I mean, I would love to see Alexi David Watson and I get a chance, but they're not gonna. We all, like I said previously, Steve Clark is very loyal. He's not going to play these guys. He's already shown that he's not going to play these guys. But I just think it needs something a bit different in that midfield. I actually think Michael makes a really good point on the chat there. My worry is we needed to win that match and didn't. No, not you. My worry is we needed to win that match and didn't. Confidence is huge, and it's been an issue now for us in Spain away over a year ago. That's a good point, because losing is a habit, as is winning. Now, as a Hearts supporter, I don't know what's going to come first, the Hearts win or a Scotland win. I'm not comfortable about either just now. But, you know, we've not won since we beat Gibraltar. And even then, it wasn't a great performance. We needed to win that game tonight. We needed to win that game tonight, and we've blown it again because of Grant Hanley. I'm trying not to swear. I'm just, honestly, it's so frustrating. It was really frustrating to lose that game that way.
But the other way to look at it is, Graham, without mentioning your best pal's name, right? We were only like 2 seconds away from getting a point.
And after being 2-0 down, I think Robbie might have mentioned it there, after being 2-0 down, you know, you would have taken that. But we should have got all three in the end. But do you know what? If you go away from that game, taking a 2-2 draw after being 2-0 down, you're thinking, right, okay, that's something to build on. But to lose the game the way we have, and it's another last-minute goal. Same with Hungary in the Euros. It's another last-minute goal. We can't keep doing that. We cannot keep losing stupid goals. And that's the thing. You know, Steve Clark was sitting there going, how have we lost that game? Because I don't think you can really blame Steve Clark too much tonight. It is on the players. 3 defensive mistakes have cost us. But it's just so frustrating. We can't buy a win just now. You know, you can sit here and say it was a really good performance, but the fact is, we've lost again.
You just wonder, Robbie, that Stevie Clark was at the Celtic's Hibs game, the Celtic. I can't remember what other game it was at. I'm sure St Mirren, yeah, and I'm sure he was at the game on Sunday against Rangers. What was he looking at?
I honestly would struggle to tell you. I mean, am I right in saying that James Forrest and Greg Taylor both dropped out the Scotland team?
Yeah.
Both. So I honestly have no idea. But I mean, just on Graham's point,
I mean, to be honest, Robbie, they were like shoo-ins to be in that Scotland squad. So, you know, sorry to cut across you there, but I mean, Stevie Clark should know what he's getting from Forrest and Greg Taylor, because they've been in the squad for years, right? So, what are they looking at? Are they just going away along for the free pies at half time?
I honestly couldn't tell you, but I mean, maybe it was looking at Mark O'Hara. You never know. As another midfield option, I can dream. But
I
just
would,
on Graham's point there, I mean, I would struggle to tell you as a Scotland fan the next time we have a game that I'm confident that we can win. I mean, all jokes aside, obviously, about us not winning in a while, I couldn't tell you the next time I'd be confident about us getting into a game and actually being able to win it.
Do you know the funniest thing is? I saw tonight San Marino won their first game. They've actually won a game before us.
We'll be lucky to beat them.
are they looking for a manager? Yeah, I mean, just to get press you, Robbie, I mean, that's home game. It's not until the 15th of October. By that time, we could be playing Sunday league football because we've got a game against Portugal on Sunday, and then it doesn't get any easier, by the way. We're away to Croatia on the 12th of October. So, I'm trying to be optimistic here as a member of the Titan Army, but yeah, I mean, no, I'm not going to.
I mean, that is a difficult few fixtures, and I'm not even confident against Croatia. I mean, we could be looking at a good while before Scotland win another game, and I actually feel bad for the likes of Graham because for club and country, Graham's not going through the best time right now, so we'll
I'll
need to
try,
keep an eye on him.
Michael. I'll try and be positive since Graham and Robbie are not being positive. We're going to beat Croatia. We're going to beat Portugal. Don't worry, guys. Everything's going to be all right.
I mean, the one thing I would say on the plus side, the reason we're in this group is because of how we did in the last Nations League. We're in Group A. We're in Group A for a reason. You're always going to get difficult games. We've got a very hard group, but we're in the group for a reason because we did well the last time. So there's a slight positive to put on it, even though we're not going to win a game.
So thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back on Christmas Eve. Hopefully, Scotland will give us hopefully points as well. But yeah, I'm trying to think of something positive to say, Reagan, about that game. But I'm finding it quite difficult at the moment.
I think the positivity was that Steve Clark actually changed something. I was happy that he brought on the Shanklins and the Ryan Golds and Lewis Morgans and Ben Dokes. I know he only gave them 20 minutes, but it was more than 20 minutes because the referee's battery kept going off every 2 minutes at Hampden Park, so probably about 25 minutes. But no, I was impressed with Ben Doak. I think the only thing about him is you probably see it, Graham, is like his physicality and his thing because his pace is great, but he just looks as if he needs a bit of gym work.
Yeah, he does. I like Ben Doak. He's got something that we really lack, and that's absolute bags the pace. But I thought he offered that when he came on. Actually, Michael Harrison says something that I was going to bring up as well when he talks about our record against Portugal. Because I remember that 5-0 game he's talking about under Roxburgh. That was brutal. And I feel it could be even worse on Sunday.
Rob,
I think it will be worse if we play Grant Hanley. And I know Robbie wasn't going to play him Angus for the first goal, but I'm just not confident with him either. I just don't think he's a very good goalie.
No, listen, I agree with you. I don't think Gunn's the best goalkeeper, but again, for that first goal, I just think that's unstoppable to me. I don't think any of the Scotland goalkeepers saved that one.
I don't know, Van Leno's kind of argue about I come into the show. The battery was a lot of nonsense. I've told the guys the Wi-Fi at Hampden is rubbish, guys.
Well,
try and
is
get
he talking about the referee's battery or Grant Hanley's battery? Because
Yeah.
that ran out ages ago.
I was in for that, yeah. Reagan, I know that you were saying that you were quite happy to see the guys coming on the park, Doc Shankling and all that. But it's back in my point I made earlier on, and I might think that a broken record here because that's what I do sometimes. Would you not rather them start the game? Because you would have a better chance for them to start the game than coming on with 15 minutes to go and try and change it. And okay, I mean, if they do in that 15 minutes, wow, brilliant. But I mean, the game lasts for 90 minutes.
I think I would, and I think that's why that I feel that over the course of this Nations League campaign, like even if we do have very good performances and we do play okay, I do feel that Steve Clark will be dismissed. I just feel that it'll
Mhm.
become too much, because there'll be too much. There'll be no, if he's going to be loyal to players like um, Grant Hanley and that, there's only so much that it can take you. You know what I mean? Like it's like trying to play piano, but it's not tuned in right. You know what I mean? If it's not working, then don't try and play it. You know what I mean? I mean, Grant Hanley can't get a game for Norwich, and he's played for Scotland. I mean, I know people will say, "Well, Ben Doak's not played for Middlesbrough," but if you're if you're defending, it's a totally different um, match to if you're actually creating chances. Because what Brendo offers, I mean, Graham was spot on when he said he offers pace. I mean, you can see that right away. And I said that to my uncle when I was watching. I said, that's the one thing that we've lacked is pace, you know? And that's one thing I always say about Neil Lennon. He's a manager. He's very reactionary. And I feel like Steve Clark is becoming that, you know? I just feel like, see, if you want to be positive from the very start. Michael, so am with you. If you want to be positive for the very first minute. Don't be positive for 10 minutes to go and go, oh, I'm going to bring on Shagon now because we're 2-1 down and I'm going to try and get a goal now.
Guys, a bit of breaking news here. Uh, we've been sitting here depressed because we lost the game, but apparently Scotland had 11 shots at goal tonight and Poland had 10. So according to Graham Souness, we won the game, Reagan.
You better not tell that to Graham as a fleet come on because clearly football works on paper and no actually out on the pitch. So, it's a bit of a strange one now how people work at football matches. But I think when you look at the overall football match, Scotland probably did have the best openings of the game. But if you look at Poland, they'll be happy to get out there with a 3 points. I mean, they'd be happy to go out there with a point because Scotland totally dominated. I think the only thing that was missing from people Andy Robertson was the final ball in that, Michael. So.
Mm.
I think to try and be slightly more positive, I think we have to talk about Scott McTominay because he has really become one of our most important players. He's so influential. I mean, he's driving runs from midfield. There was a moment in the second half, I think he probably could have slipped in Ben Doak when he had a driving run. But honestly, 10 goals for Scotland as a midfielder. And I think he's easily our best player just now. He's been fantastic for Scotland.
Oh, yes, Graham.
Again tonight is the best player in the park.
It was
It'll
man
be-
match by far, Graham.
It'll be even better when he's getting some lovely Italian food. The pizza out there's amazing. In Napoli, that's what they bake it and for everybody to enjoy. So it'll be even better once he has some pizza in that, you know what I mean? So
I mean,
Graham,
that'll
what
help us as well. Oh, sorry, Michael, on you go.
pizzas?
no, I don't think that'll help us, but Robbie can go on and expand on his point. That's sorry, Robin, you go.
I was just going to say, I think it only helps Scotland as well that McTominay and Gilmore are going to be playing with each other week in, week out now as well at Napoli. And that'll be some midfield pairing for Napoli especially. And then when they come into Scotland, they'll only have better teamwork. So, again, another positive, that'll only help us as well.
Paul
Yeah, I think that's
Donaldson.
I think that's a
sorry,
good.
Reagan.
Sorry, I'm just going to say, do you think that's what Steve Clark will do then? Do you think he'll play that two all the time because he'll go, well, that's my two because they're playing all the time, so they're used to each other, and they
I
know.
think, so I was just going to say, I think Graham made a good point earlier that they two have probably been our best two players as of recent. That McTominay's been such a good driving force, but we spoke earlier in the show about how well Billy Gilmore's done in the midfield to create stuff and actually want to get the ball, take people on, and get the ball forward. So I think if you're Steve Clark, that's probably what you need to do.
There you go. Alan Risk has joined us for the last 50 minutes or so. So good to have him on. But we'll get him on in a few minutes' time. Paul Donaldson is watching the show on YouTube. He says, "Hi, all, just in the door. was what was at the game tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed it, Paul. Well, enjoyed it until the last maybe 2 seconds or whatever. And you can tell us what the atmosphere was like as well. I'm going to come back to Michael Harrison's point on YouTube in a minute, Graham. But I've got to say good evening to Aaron. He has joined us. So what's your... We've been having maybe another counselling session for the past 40 minutes. So you're welcome to join us. So what was your overall takeaway from that game tonight, Aaron?
First of all, cheers for having me, guys. Can you all hear me okay? It's all grand?
Yeah.
So I think the same as everyone, what an uninspiring lineup. So I think none of us were surprised with how the first 45 minutes went, because that's exactly what we expected. Now, obviously, what we got was a good press, chances, but we think we saw at half-time 0 shots on target, which is exactly what we had at the Euros in terms of volume of shots on target. And there's arguments I had a goal disallowed, but chances, we weren't good enough. When he brought the second half came out, and we all kind of said, I mean, I was chatting to the guys I was watching at the pub with, and I said, this is make or break. Like, there's international careers on the line here, because guys like Dykes, guys like McLean and stuff, I was like, that this is not going well. So we came out the blocks and we got the reaction which we all wanted. We got a goal, a brilliant goal, like excellent. We got the next goal to get back to 2 each. Obviously, before that, we had the substitutions, which I thought the 3 substitutions is the most advanced attacking substitutions Steve Clarke's ever made. If someone can find a better 3 substitutions that he's ever made in his entire Scotland career, I'll take it. But that was amazing. Shankland, Gold, and Doak was incredible, and it was chaotic for a long time. And that was the thing. I think they came on so late that it was always going to be chaotic. But we got a goal with them, and we looked attacking, we looked aggressive. Poland looked decent, but they never really got many shots. And then obviously you have the option: do you keep it 2 each, which we did before with Poland, or do you go for it? And then Grant Hanley, and dejection. It's awful. It was like the guy was running out of play. There was no need to dive in.
Yeah.
And then obviously when it happens, you immediately catastrophize it and look back at every single instant. You're like, why didn't Suter start? Like, why didn't we call up Suter and do this and do that? And I guess that's the thing. So I think, in very short, lineup was uninspiring. Halftime rejuvenation was good. Substitutions even better. Horrible ending.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Alan, you mentioned Lyndon Dykes there. I mean, I know he offers a physical presence, but again, for 70 minutes today, he offered nothing. He had 1 chance in the first half that we talked about earlier. He should bury it, but I just don't see what Lyndon Dykes brings to Scotland apart from that physical presence.
And you're totally right. And I think for a long time he did. And a long time he was that point, that focal point of an attack where you needed the ball to stick. And the ball went to him, and he would bring it into play, and he could lay it to an Adams, he could lay it to someone on the left wing or the right or whatever, and he could pass it back to Hickey or McGinn or whatever, and he was great at that, and he will be great at that. But he didn't have someone off him to do that with today, and he didn't offer enough. And also that can also come down to game time. I think I heard very recently, maybe even in the Scottish Football podcast today, that he'd only played 50 minutes or so this season. Now that's not enough. Tommy Conway, he started the season brilliantly, and I really thought tonight, like, start Tommy Conway. Like, there's no harm if you start Tommy Conway and he has the same first half that Lyndon Dykes has. At the very least, you can say, well, I tried something different. But can anyone say when they saw that starting lineup they were happy?
No.
I'm going to think that a broken record here, Alan. Like, I've asked you guys before, but you mentioned Doak, you mentioned obviously Morgan, Conway, Shankland, right? Would you not be more optimistic when you saw that team lines when they scarkicked the game instead of bringing them on? Okay, maybe if they brought them on with 50 minutes to go and they won the game, you were like, wow, Stevie Clarke's the manager of the season, give him a MBE, but they never, right? So what are they going to do in that 50-minute spell? I would rather bring them off with 50 minutes to go than bring them on.
And I think you're exactly right. I think what we needed as a Scotland fan base was a reaction, because the lack of communication, and everyone can argue. I don't think many people are arguing, but Clark and Carver and the staff will argue that they've done their interview and they've done enough. We didn't need to hear from them post Euros. We did, right? Because we're a passionate fan base. We're an involved fan base. We want to hear from our teams. We want to hear interviews. We want to see content. We're lapping up Scottish football. Scottish football fans are, without a doubt, the most passionate football fans in the entire world. Per capita, we attend games more than any other country in the entire world, based on our population. Right? Falkirk have sold out our allocation away to Celtic, a small town in Scotland. Right? We love football. We want to hear about football, and what we deserved as a fan base after the Euros was a conference with the manager, an interview where he just explained what went fucking wrong, right? And even if he just doubles down on we had injuries and he gives us excuses, we need to hear it from him, and we didn't. And the first thing we heard was an interview with him and Carver saying no one's complaining. No one said they've upset about the Euros, which is total lies and total nonsense. And then they've backtracked a little bit, and then they've had to, because McGinn and Robertson have both said they're disappointed. And so, okay, you're like, right, fine, interviews aside, that's loads of talking, it's jargon, it's nonsense. We'll do the talking on the park. So if you've changed and you've identified an issue, demonstrate it to us on the park, right? And that the first chance to do that is with the lineup. And the lineup has Kenny McLean, Grant Hanley, and players who in Ralston, right? And Ralston I don't mind as much as McLean and Hanley. And I used to like Hanley. But when you're playing the four with no natural wingers, you're playing a narrow four. And you're just like, where's the aggression? Where's the change? And we never got that. And then we did get that much, much later. And obviously the second half, before we made the changes, we're aggressive, we're brilliant. Should have scored maybe two, and also we had a goal disallowed. But it's all too late. And that's the story of us. It's all too late.
Portugal on Sunday gives me the fear. You've got Ronaldo, Fernandes, Leao, Diogo Jota against that defence. I actually fear for what could happen on Sunday. I really do.
Well, I said tonight before the Poland game, I said if we get embarrassed by Poland, which it could have very well happened after 2-0. Now, it wasn't a terrible performance in the first half. But if that game had ended 3-0 corner, which it very well could have done, where does Clark stand then? For me, he's out before Sunday. So we've lost the game, right? Albeit we've put the players on that we all want on. We've put the performance in which we've wanted in terms of fight back. It's a stupid individual error that's cost us. 2 individual errors that have cost us. But ultimately 2 individual errors not caused by the same person. So you can't, if it's one person that causes 2, you go, that was a bad selection. One person, you can't deal with that. If it's 2 different players, and also 2 different players where so many people have already recognised that their lack of game time and lack of experience or lack of ability at this level will cost you. Everyone's seen it happening with Ralston, and I feel for the guy. I love Ralston in terms of his passion, his drive, his passion for Celtic as well. Like the fact that, not even as a Celtic fan, but just as a player who's happy to go on the bench and he will give 100% every game he gets on. And he's not the first choice for Scotland, and he'll give 100%. But he's made an error there. And Hanley, again, a guy who had the long-term injury, hasn't been in the side very much, has made another error. And you're like, you've had an opportunity tonight to play new players, to play Max Johnson, right? You could have had Suter at right centre back. You could have had other players at right centre back, and it would have been better. It's frustrating, and I think that, like you say, Portugal on Sunday now is another game where it's like you can't call it a must-win because we will not win it, and if we do win it, it's down to I don't know what. But if he loses it, aye.
No, so what's your take, Barry? This is not a witch hunt against Stevie Clark, right? But Michael Harrison's made a comment. I don't know if you can see it, right? Clark was found out at both of the Euros. I would argue the point that he should have been sacked at the airport on the way home, Alan. He shouldn't have saw this campaign. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh as well, right? But why call and I'll keep going back here because I'm right. I don't care what anybody says. What's the point of bringing Shankland, Conway, Forrest, Armstrong into the squad tonight in the Euros, and to get a free holiday out of it to sit on the bench and not coming on?
Well, see, the thing is, you're right in most of what you said. I think, for me, everybody should be bought time based on experience and based on what they've done. So he's got us to 2 tournaments. He deserved the tournament, right? And you can have a bad tournament. And there's no doubt we had injuries. So I think there's enough there. And to be honest, the game in Cologne that we drew with Switzerland was an amazing experience, and we should have maybe won that, and we could have also lost it. So he gave us that experience and took us to the last game, right? And obviously it wasn't what we wanted, and we should have. The Hungary game was the one that hit us most. So I think he was always going to get the time. However, it's the actions and the talk after it. It's like, if you were getting the time, you acknowledge that. If he comes out after it, has an interview and says, "Look, I made selection errors based on limited people I could select because of injury issues. I lost Tierney, so I had to do this. I should have maybe done something different, but this is what I thought was best at the time." You can buy time from that, right? But as a manager, and I think as a fan base, when you look at a manager who goes against the fan base, that's the first sign of the end, because you don't do that, right? And again, a lot of fan bases are critical, and we're football fans, we're passionate. But as soon as you go against them, you start the beginning of the end. And that's what he did. He said that no one was upset. And he said it was up. And even before that, and during the Euros, before the Euros started, he called us negative Normans. And I get that his team was successful, but then I guess it's obviously in retrospect, you look back at his team, and I heard something today about how McTominay scored with like eight shots, eight goals from 9 shots on target. And how random that is, and how that will never happen again. And it's the best strike rate of any striker in any campaign for a World Cup or Euros in history. And you're like, well, actually, that was very random. And so, is there a chance that we got to this Euros in particular by a bit more luck than skill? And I'll take luck and skill, because obviously, 2-1 away to Norway was like mental. But I think it becomes a stage where that all runs out, and you're like, okay, you have to change your system. Show you're a manager. You're talking about a guy look at guys like Rhys McCabe at Airdrie, obviously very different level. Rhys McCabe's gone through his first major restructure, right? He's lost a lot of his team. He's brought in 13, 14 new players. Started off well against Aberdeen, not doing so well, and he's not changed it yet, and they've not clicked. Now this is his first rebuild job. He's not doing great. Now this is Clark's first major squad overhaul, and he's not doing great. So Sunday's important. Sunday's a case of, if the performance is poor, we can lose the game. Everyone expects us to lose the game. If the performance is crap and the team is the same as it started this game, no one's going to accept that. No one.
Coming up to the final moments of the show, I'm not going to ask them how you're going to sum the game up, because I think I know what you're going to say. I'm a bit psychic that way. Didn't take a rocket scientist to work it out. Robbie, what about any final thoughts on the game tonight, and looking ahead to Sunday, behind the couch or behind somewhere else that you're going to watch it?
Look, I mean, Alan said it when he first came on, there's international careers on the line, and I think Steve Clark's job's on the line, because if we get embarrassed this Sunday, as I said, the fans and people won't take it. And as Steve Clark's already come out and said stuff about how he thinks he's deserved the chance to try and qualify us for the World Cup. If we get embarrassed on Sunday, and right now, I don't see a way that we qualify for the World Cup yet, because it's just the same every time. It's the individual errors. It's picking the same lineup, picking the same squad. So I think Sunday, as Alan's already said, is a very important match for the players and Steve Clarke.
Okay, so thanks for all your comments tonight on a very interesting performance, you would say, right? And stuff like that. I won't be here on Sunday night. I'm at the bingo, so good luck to the guy that's not on the show. No, I'll be behind the couch somewhere watching the game, maybe in the jail somewhere. No, anyway. So thanks for all your comments tonight. We'll be back on Sunday night for the big game between 6 and 7. The big build up, and 10 and 11 after the game for the post-mortem or a counselling session, or whatever you want to call it. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks to Robbie, thanks to Graham, thanks to Alan, thanks to Robbie. And one more thing I've got to say, Kumbaya, my log. Okay, see you on Sunday.
All the build-up and reaction to
Cheers, guys.
Scotland in the Nations League.